is Cannaponics Limited. Cannaponics is an Australian medicinal cannabis company focused on sustainable, large-scale cultivation, processing, and manufacturing. The company is raising funds to validate its facilities as the gold standard for cultivating and manufacturing premium medicinal cannabis for Australian patients in global markets. So to tell you more, I am joined by Managing Director, Rod Zukowski. Good morning, Rod.
Good morning, Jane. How are you going?
Wonderful. Look, let us bring up your presentation and we'll jump into it.
Fantastic. Okay, obviously, thanks everyone for joining in this morning. My name's Rod Zukowski, and I'm the Managing Director of Cannaponics and the founder as well. If we go to the next slide, please, Jane. This is me 4 years ago, standing at the gates to, some would say, freedom. It was an audacious task that we took on. I purchased a block of land down in a place called Collie, 165 acres. If you go to the next slide, please. We purchased a block of land for $418,000 at the time, and today the block of land is valued at just over $2.2 million in that form. But as you can see on the next slide, fast forward to today, we have built some 7,000 square metres under main roof, which comprises of the 1 acre greenhouse and then the 2,000 square metre manufacturing EU GMP. It will be EU GMP compliant over the next 6 months, but everything's built to that standard, along with a water technical shed and also our own water supply. And if you go to the next slide, who are we? Cannaponics. We're a vertically integrated cannabis company. To date, we've raised $34 million. So we are a publicly unlisted company, some $25 million in equity and $9 million in debt from the National Bank of Australia. The raise at the moment, we're looking for $5 million to complete the facility. Expected certificate of occupancy, so that date's actually brought forward. It's booked into the 21st of April. So exciting news for Cannaponics, all its shareholders, and then permits. We're looking also bringing that forward to May. We have inspections the first week of May with the ODC, so that's exciting as well too. And first expected revenues for Cannaponics itself will be October, November this year. But we do have other revenues, which I'll explain later on throughout the presentation. And next slide. Highlights, as I said earlier, we own 165 acres. Also, too, I didn't mention in the first photograph that we also have, we're in application for 10 acres of outdoor grow as well. So we're expecting to have that granted over the next coming months, and then we'll extend our fence line, and then the whole site will have 10 acres of outdoor grow and 1 acre of indoor grow. All our equipment has been purchased in a fashion that's underutilized, so that the amount of cannabis that we'll be growing and producing will suffice to our capabilities with our machines. We have over 5 offtake agreements equaling to about $14 million to get us off the ground. We are fully focused on a B2B model initially, and then later on we'll look at some other B2Cs and whatnot. But we're just basically super focused on getting started, growing and bringing in revenue. We've also been a recipient of a $2 million government funding, which was 2.5 years ago. The state government was kind enough to match $2 million worth of funding for us. So we've got a strong connection with, obviously, the local government and state government, and work closely with the federal government. Next slide. Market versus demand. So in 2024, just over $1 billion was spent from patients in Australia alone, just on medical cannabis. If we look back in 2017, when it became legal for doctors to prescribe medical cannabis, I think in 2018 it was $254,000 worth of value of medical cannabis was prescribed. Fast forward to, obviously, today, it's well and truly over $1 billion. That's over 4,000 times growth. So it's a pretty exciting industry to be in. And also, what's great for us and all Australian manufacturers at the moment is that 80% of that cannabis has been imported into the country. So, as we know, it's highly regulated here in Australia, and barriers to entry is quite high. And we're only weeks away from having our facility completed and ready for operational. Next slide. There's an article in the AFR about the export boom, which is also good for us with the dollar the way it is at the moment, and the euro dollar. So there's a client here, or not a client, sorry, another competitor here in Australia, ANTG, just signed a $140 million contract to supply Germany. Germany's about a $5 billion market, so we have interests and currently in negotiations with contracts to supply Germany as well. Everything we've built to date on the facility and everything we have purchased has all been EU GMP compliant, so that we can export anywhere around the world. Next slide. The facility itself, as I said, we have some 7,000 square meters under roof. We have some of the only equipment in Australia which allows us to basically harvest and have product on the shelves within 8 hours with our microwave cryovac drying machine and our ethanol extraction machine as well. As I said, we have a 1 acre indoor grow, or under a glass house, fully automated. And that's under what's called a GACP, which is basically good agriculture collection practices, and then coupled to a 10 acre of outdoor grow. Everything's been built in the facility as the standard of EU GMP, which stands for good manufacturing practices. So it's second to none for quality and assurance to be distributed around the world for pharmaceutical grade. We're really big on not so much renewables for ticking the green boxes, but purely for cost of goods. For us, it's all about sustainability for us to be profitable moving forward and to provide our shareholders with the return. So we've built a 15 million litre dam. The whole site's been designed around that we collect between 8 to 11 million litres of water per year from the average annual rainfall in Collie over the last 20 years, and we've reduced that by 60%. So we're pretty confident that we're going to have our dam pretty much filled every single year from natural rainfall. But if that doesn't happen, well, then we have an unlimited amount of water supply underneath our block of land as well. Power and water are the two biggest components for a lot of industries, but particularly medical cannabis. So we've taken care of the water component. We've been running on solar for the last 4 years in construction, operating under a battery and solar. So for us now, that the facility's been energised at the end of this month, or 21st of April. The end of next month, 21st of April. We then go into a 1.5 megawatt solar farm, which we already have more than half of the equipment purchased on site and ready for installation, and that'll allow us to reduce our cost by about, or our power bill by about 40%. And then stage 2 is 2026, another 2.5 meg coupled to batteries, and with some further funding from the federal government and whatnot, assistance will allow us to have zero cost during the day by the end of 2026, water and power. Our only cost will be labour. So we believe that's a huge important part of any business, but particularly our industry, to be sustainable, to compete with anyone around the world with low labour costs. We have currently replacement costs on site of around $40 million. We believe, because we are the owner and the project manager, that we managed to build a facility for considerably less than a lot of our peers, which is somewhere beyond $100 million, with some large debts in place with those companies, which only adds to the cost of goods. So we've managed to achieve some remarkable results, I feel, with the team around us and our builders on site. Next slide. Revenue forecast, as I said earlier, we already have income producing assets. We purchased a motel, hotel, bar, and bottle shop last year in February for which is a subsidiary of Cannaponics, but is owned 100% by Cannaponics. We purchased that purely the fact that Collie has zero accommodation. It's going through a mining boom, and forecast to have the next 10 years of shortage of accommodation. So we wanted to be in front of that for our workers. We've currently been renting 4 houses for the last 3 years, where all our construction workers have been staying in those houses, and the last 12 months in the hotel. The hotel was purchased for around about $600,000. We used the funds from the parent company for the deposit, and 16 weeks later, we paid those funds back, and now that business stands on its own 2 feet, and it's currently income is just over $100,000 per week. We've managed to double the revenue within 12 months of ownership, so that's pretty exciting as well too. So you can see here that's where the revenue comes from in 2025, and then you can see here also too that our cost of goods comes down dramatically. Our net margin over the coming years, due to the fact that the solar farm stage 1 and 2 come into place, which lower our cost of goods, which obviously increase our bottom line. Next slide, please. Capital structure: founders own about 64 million shares. We've already had a few raises already. Currently, the raise at the moment, we've at a discount at 21 cents. We raised roughly $7 million last year from a crowdfunding source. We hold the record for the most amount of money raised for any crowdfunding source. We have about 4,000 shareholders. So as I said, we are publicly unlisted. We've managed to raise a lot of money on ourselves, which is a fantastic effort by all the team around us. So the current raise at the moment is at a valuation of $54 million. Next slide. Historic use of funds, as I said earlier, I believe we've managed to really leverage our knowledge in construction and building materials to build a facility at a heavily, somewhat lower price than a lot of our peers. Amazingly, we feel, just for the fact that we have such a large land holding, things like, gravel for all our roads. We have a gravel pit, sand for all our sand. We dug out the construction site, and our civil engineer said to us we couldn't build on the clay; it was too soft. We needed to have a metre of sand. So we basically we carted nearly 9,000 cubes of sand. So all that around about, it's about a $1.5 million savings just in that. So we've been self-conscious about where the money's gone. We don't rent anything; we own everything. We've purchased well. The proposed $5 million we're currently raising at the moment. We've had some forward facilities from NAB that help us out at the moment. So some of that funding will go back to NAB, and then the rest of the money will help us fulfill our 3-stage approach to opening. For us, we'll be open by May. So as I said, April we'll have our occupancy from the local shire, and then May we have the permit inspection from the Office of Drug Control, and then so stage 1 is obviously energising and getting all the water and security and measures up and running. And then stage 2 and 3 will be turning on all the clean rooms and the rest of the facility that we need to start operating at that particular time, to the nature of the fact that it's going to take roughly 12 weeks to 16 weeks to get all our crops up and running and growing to get into production. Next slide. Pathway success, as I said earlier, we have current contracts at the moment. We have focused on B2B. We're just focused on 2 things: is obviously revenue and reducing our cost of goods. We obviously have international opportunities, Germany, France, and Poland. We feel the export market is, and we are essentially an end-to-end company from seed to sale. We believe we have the people around us and the infrastructure to be able to carry all facets of the supply chain out, and then obviously down the track we have some 14 clean rooms, so we've built everything for us to grow into it. including all our extraction machines and our drying and processing and wet buck and trimming machines. Everything's based around reducing the amount of labour we need and fulfilling future growth. And obviously that goes on the cash flow, profitability, and then potential dividends, but then obviously an IPO or a trade sale. But we won't be looking at any IPO shortly with the current market where it's at. Next slide. Yeah, so if I just want to leave everyone, obviously this thought as I'm wrapping up, I believe obviously the future isn't just something that we enter. I believe we've got to create it together. And I honestly believe investing isn't merely just pumping money into stocks and bonds and cryptos, as we've just realised as well. It's about believing in the innovation and supporting local manufacturing. We have a real opportunity here in Australia. We are an Australian manufacturer, Australian owned. And for us, it's all about taking part in a journey towards a better tomorrow. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Wonderful. Thanks, Rod. Let's jump into it. And again, please use the Q&A function, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so we talked about government funding. Are there any other opportunities for further government funding?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a whole raft of funding where we are in Collie and the state government. We're very fortunate to have such a supportive government for us anyway. And because there's what's called a just transition in Collie, because they're wanting to close down all the coal mines and, get into renewables and save the planet, the government's throwing a lot of money at businesses to go to Collie. And obviously now the federal government's getting involved as well too with nuclear. So we believe as far as we're currently in application with ARENA funding, for our solar farm, but that's a long drawn out process. It's for stage 2. And once that $2 million the state government has matched our funding, we've been paid $1.6 million to date. We'll receive more funding next month when we get occupancy. And the following month we'll receive the rest of that, and then we'll be applying for other manufacturing grants as well too. But unfortunately, the state government doesn't let you apply for 2 grants while you haven't been paid for the first grant. So once we deliver, which we are delivering, we believe there's a raft of opportunities for further enhancing our value adds within the company in Collie.
Wonderful. And again, excuse me, rather, you mentioned that forecasted initial production has already been sold. And there's obviously a market for it, as you mentioned in the presentation. So what would you need to do to increase this production? And even more so, what was the forecasted production to begin with?
Yeah, so for us, there's only about $12 million worth of product sold in our offtakes. We believe with our 1 acre indoor grow with the perpetual harvesting technology that we'll be partaking in, and our 10 acres of outdoor grow, we believe that we'll produce between 12 to 18 tonnes per year. So that's going to take obviously a few years to get up to that ramp up, but we believe as far as it's just a drop in the ocean to where we'll start to where we'll finish. The Australian industry is forecast the next 4 years to hit $5 billion, I think. It's 40% growth this year, they feel. So for us, we would 5% of the Australian markets will be good enough for us. But I think currently at the moment, I think it's 160 tonnes. Don't quote me on that. Currently the Australian market has at the moment. So if we were to grow 10 to 16 tonnes, that'd be 10% of that market.
That kind of leads to the next question then. So on the competitive landscape, are there similar sized businesses already listed on the ASX? And if so, who are they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been beaten up quite severely on the AX. There's really a two-speed, I believe, to my opinion, two-speed economy within the medical cannabis industry. There are the early movers, and we've been fortunate enough to witness many leaders laying in paddocks with arrows in their backs, wanting to build the biggest and best facilities, and have struggled and had overruns in costs and whatnot. So we've had the privilege of learning from all of their mistakes. And then there's some of the private guys out there that are doing really well, like the ANTGs and some of the the manufacturers out there that are just packaging, that are doing some, $15 to $20 million in revenue and just packaging in imported products. Unfortunately, some of the listed entities, are extremely undervalued, I think, due to the market and due to the look. I mean, there is a we wouldn't want to be listed right now on the ASX, that's for sure. But some of the companies out there, as we know, Can Group are operating within lows, I think 1 or 3, 4 cents, and ECS Botanics, which I think is a fantastic company, they're only trading at 3 cents with market cap of 20 mil, with assets for about 40 mil. So there's a lot of undervalued stocks. Even LGP, I think, are really undervalued as well. For me, I'm all about a rising tide floats all boats. So we really want those companies, and some of them won't do very well. I think I won't mention, but I think some of them will probably struggle. I think there's probably going to be a series of mergers and acquisitions happening over the next, consolidation over the next few years. And for us, the reason why we feel, will be ones that will be, at the end, is that we have a sustainable model to highly concentrate on lowering our cost of goods.
Wonderful. Well, Rod, that's all we've got time for today. You did mention that the company is raising funds, so I would encourage any of the attendees online today to contact Rod on the Cannaponics website. But thanks again for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.